Hey, what's up guys, Rev here. So there's been a lot going on over the past week or two, and honestly, the caseload for me has really been stacking up and I've been falling behind. So today, I want to do something special and wrangle up a bunch of these stories and cover them in one video. A sort of compilation of everything going on recently. We got all kinds of stories coming out, including Nijisanji VTubers being suspended, some Netflix drama, some more body shaming on Twitter, go figure. We even have people now having the ability to have sex in Roblox, among other stories. It's a wild day, so without further ado, let's jump into it. So we're going to start with possibly the biggest story in this video, and it is the recent suspension of the Nijisanji VTuber Zaion, who is only debuted roughly 2 months ago. So 2 days ago, AnyColor made this statement talking about the reasons they suspended her activities. It has to do with various remarks she's made on stream and some discrepancy between information shared by Zaion and information that is being confirmed with her management, some insensitive jokes, and the fact that these are repeated behaviors she has been warned not to continue. Now, it is an indefinite suspension and it's getting a lot of attention, as you can see. Now, of course, any guesses as to what specific events led to the suspension is speculation, but people have been pointing out a couple different things. Number one, she's made various comments about being a Shotokan, or at least heavily inferring that she is, while she was doing various Genshin streams, and also she's made various comments on Twitter. She has also stated that she has permission to stream the Hogwarts Legacy game, which has been refuted by other members of Nijisanji. She has also talked about using emulators for Nintendo games, which is very risky for a company like Nijisanji because they could lose their permission to stream Nintendo games as a result. She has also talked about using illegal mods for games like Final Fantasy. She's also used copyrighted music on stream. But the main thing people have been focusing on, at least on Twitter, has been some of her dark and edgy jokes that have been made at the expense of groups like Jewish people. There's been jokes about drugs and self-harm. But there's one clip in particular everyone is talking about. And for context, it has to deal with a character that was recently sexually assaulted and her comments that followed.
Oh, man, no wonder she got, yeah, wow, hi,
Yes, that is definitely a dark joke. Is it offensive? Sure. I mean, that's kind of the point of humor like that. And whether you agree with that or not, I don't think it's very surprising that a company like Nijisanji would have a problem with jokes like that. If she was just some random independent streamer, I don't think people would have cared as much. But it obviously looks bad for Nijisanji, and whether you think she has the right to say these jokes or people have the right to make dark jokes like this is another issue, because it's about what Nijisanji wants, and I don't think it's surprising that their agency doesn't put up with these kinds of jokes. And I think at the end of the day, that joke in particular is not the single reason she was suspended. It seems like it's a collection of many different things, and she's also been warned about these behaviors, and it seems like it's been a long time coming for action to be taken by Nijisanji. And if you want proof of how turbulent things have been since her debut, only 2 months ago, she has already privated over 10 of her VODs. That's pretty bad, and it's for various things like protecting herself from getting canceled because of edgy jokes, the copyrighted music situation, and other things that could have gotten her in trouble. So this is obviously a very turbulent situation, and it's an indefinite suspension, so we don't know how long this could be, and it doesn't look good, but hopefully things work out. So that's the first story. This next one, what would a Twitter video be without body shaming? We have another round of short people being considered unlovable. And this time says, tell me this isn't a deeply disturbed man. Now, of course, they don't directly say it, but we know what they're inferring by this man. I think he's 6'4" and his partner is 5 foot tall or something around there. Obviously, the deeply disturbing part is that there is a height difference between these two individuals, because deeply disturbing is when height differences, and this led to a whole discourse in the replies. I'm surprised this tweet is still up after all this time. Nobody in the real world is offended by this. Nobody. And as this thing plays on loop in the background, this guy's getting some big reps in right now, but nonetheless, like, I urge Twitter to understand that the reason people have a moral problem with things like pedophilia, it doesn't have to do with body types. It doesn't have to do with people being short. It has to do with a child being taken advantage of and abused. That's the problem here. And the fact that Twitter can't decipher that and continues to call short people pedo bait, among other things, is ridiculous. Not to mention the fact it is incredibly misogynistic. These people, in their pursuit to own men and make them look like vile predators and weirdos, are basically saying this woman is unlovable because she is short. I mean, what are these people supposed to do? What's the remedy here? Is she only allowed to date a short man? Is he only allowed to date a very tall woman? Like, his only options are WNBA players? Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. And yeah, the backlash and brutal quote retweets mocking this person, very well deserved. So next, we have a whole host of Netflix drama that's been going on this week. Now, I'm a little late to the party, but I still want to give my 2 cents about this because it's an ongoing thing. So about a week ago, Netflix announced that they were going to prevent password sharing among various households, meaning they were going to require every Netflix account to log in at least once a month to their location to ensure that they're not locked out of their account. Now, at that point, you could only share your password and your account with people in your household, meaning your physical location. So if you're a parent and you have a child who's a student, for example, a college student who lives in a dorm, you have to now get 2 separate accounts. You can't share between households. Those would be considered 2 different households, even though it's the same family. It's incredibly greedy, and it's of course set up to make people buy multiple accounts so Netflix can make more money. And another great example of how terrible this whole policy was that if you were a person who traveled for work, for example, you would have to, every single new location you went, you would have to contact their customer support and get permission to unlock your account in every new location. Terrible idea. Honestly, there was a time we kind of forget where Netflix was the king. It was the ultimate streaming service for movies and TV shows. Unquestionably better than everyone else. But times have changed. They are not the unquestioned king anymore. You have services like Hulu, Disney+, HBO Max who have really stepped up their game. Nobody is going to put up with this kind of stuff. And the backlash showed that. People were very ready to cancel their Netflix subscriptions. Nobody wanted to put up with this. And unsurprisingly, but also kind of surprisingly, they came out and said they removed this new anti-password sharing rules from their website. And they claimed this whole thing was an error. And at the very least, it was not meant to be ready for the United States. Yeah, really putting the L in Netflix because they seem to just have given up on their whole anti-password sharing rules because of the backlash. They realized very quickly that this was going south on them very fast. So they backed off, and I don't know if that even helped. It made them look really bad as well by backing off of their original plan. But it's not just the regular Netflix that's in trouble. Netflix Japan has also been getting a lot of flack, and this is an interesting one. So in a recent animation they made, they incorporated AI technology to develop the background of all these scenes. And they cited a labor shortage in their tweet. It's not translated right now. It's going to mess up my screen. I don't feel like doing that right now. But basically, they used AI tech to make the backgrounds of scenes like this. And the thing that really drove people crazy is they gave the credits down here for the background designer. It said AI plus human. Now, the reason people are so upset about this is that they are essentially piggybacking off of the work of employees and animators who are now fired because recently Netflix and Netflix Japan let go of a whole host of their animators So they are quite literally sampling the work of former employees to make these background designs for their new products. A very scummy practice, and they're citing, ironically, that they have a work shortage, a labor shortage in their company. That's why they're using this tech. That is not a good look. I'm sorry. That is a terrible look for them, and it just looks greedy. And if you want more people to work on your backgrounds of your animations, hire more animators. That seems like the obvious thing, and they got absolutely blasted on Twitter. You can see a number of quote retweets. It's bad and deserved. But we're going to move on to the next story. This is a very interesting one. Kind of like an advice type thing I will give you. So this Vtuber manager goes on a very, very long rant about microphones. And you can see by the quote retweets, it was a hot topic. Because essentially she is saying that if you're serious about making content, you shouldn't be using USB microphones, especially Yetis, as in Blue Yeti microphones. And it goes on to say that, like, you're not serious about your career unless you're using certain types of microphones, and you'll never succeed, and you need to invest in the right stuff. And it really came off like kind of, number one, like poor shaming people, but also saying that, like, you will only succeed if you use certain types of microphones. And I'm here as someone who has been around the block for quite some time now, and I can tell you that is not true. You can use very easy, affordable microphones and succeed. That is like, there is no barrier for this. You can use a crappy microphone as long as you're tweaking the settings properly, you're making the right type of content for that microphone, you'll be just fine. There is no hurdle. This seems like this whole thing was like an Amazon review by someone who didn't actually use the product. And I find it very ironic and telling that a lot of the microphones they recommend are using their code sharing. So basically, if you click on this link and buy, this person's going to get an affiliate cut for sharing this link, which is pretty suspect. And in terms of Yeti mics, I am using a Blue Yeti microphone right now. I have had this same microphone since 2019. It's been almost 4 full years of using the same Blue Yeti microphone I ordered on Amazon for $110 4 years ago. Works completely fine. Sound quality is great. No issues with audio ever. And if you're someone who's doing more complicated stuff like ASMR, I see plenty of ASMR artists use Blue Yetis. And honestly, if you're just a regular content creator, you don't even need a Blue Yeti. $110, if that's too much for you, there's plenty of other affordable options that work just fine. It's not that big of a deal. This is like gatekeeping microphones. Like, it comes off as very entitled and just weird. Like I said, it feels like everyone's being shamed for using certain microphones when in reality it doesn't matter at all. But this next one is a very interesting bit of a topic change here. We're talking about Roblox. It's finally time, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to be able to have no pants dance in Roblox because they're coming out with 18 plus games that involve dating, romantic themes, gambling, alcohol, and profanity. I don't know, guys. I'm not familiar with Roblox except for a few things. Tell me how this isn't like getting concerning. I'm not saying concerning because of these themes. I'm saying concerning because the only time I hear about Roblox is when there's another grooming scandal. And now you're adding this 18 plus selection of games to it. I'm a little concerned. I won't lie to you. That doesn't sound good, but feel free to educate me in the comments of this video. I'm unfamiliar with the Roblox lore here, but this seems like a bit of a dangerous situation, especially for all the young kids playing these games who are around adults in situations they shouldn't be in the first place. But this next set of news happened just before I went live with everything. It appears that Vox Akuma from Nijisanji as well has been announced earlier today that he has received some bad news from his family today, and streams will be canceled indefinitely until further notice. I know a lot of people listen to Vox on this channel, so I thought it was worth noting because it's just another sad situation in this case where he's taking an indefinite break. Wishing him the best, and yeah, there's not a whole lot else to say about that. And then moving on to our final story for today. This is a very interesting one. There was some more Astolfo discourse on Twitter. This time, people trying to claim Astolfo as a transgender character. Now, my apologies. The tweet it was based on has since been deleted. The account that made it, this common trans W gimmick account, is quite the controversial one. Not because they're celebrating common trans Ws, but because they have routinely weaponized their 70 or 80,000 followers at this point to attack people they have a personal disliking of, which includes lolicons. And for an account that claims to be a safe space for minors, it seems very strange to send your minors to interact with accounts containing adult content, especially run by people like lolicons who they consider to be predators. That is very weird. It's a whole discourse, and maybe one day I'll get into it, but they're on their current hiatus. They deactivated their account for like the 5th time in the last 2 months, and I'm sure they'll be back, so we'll see what happens. We might cover it. But again, the tweet is deleted, but what they cited, they said basically, don't let the transphobes see this, and it was a DM of a random person saying that Astolfo is trans, and that's it. That was their proof that Astolfo is trans. And of course, here's literal quotes from the Fate series games saying that I'm my own man, and all this man wants to do right now is help out the master and my king. Yeah, it's good to see situations where someone tries to claim a character like this and then their account gets nuked a couple days later. That's some quality justice here, but you guys get the point. Lots been going on. I'm glad I was able to catch up on all these things, and please let me know all of your thoughts about this stuff in the comment section down below. Remember, I got merch. You can check it out in the description. That's new stuff. Feel free to look at it. I know you guys are really enjoying it, so I appreciate all the support on that. Again, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time.